Hello, good morning. This is the Modern Sapiens YouTube channel. My name is Efren, and the purpose of this channel is to document my journey in business. Started about 8 years ago, and I'm still trying to figure it out. So, anyway, real quick, I had two major things happen last week. I got to meet two incredible entrepreneurs in the same industry as me. We'll start with Jason first. He and I got connected from a business group I was part of earlier this year, and he was gracious enough to be open and willing to letting me know more about his business. And I actually went to go visit him in Stevensville, which is about 3 hours away from Austin, and essentially go shadow him for the day and see what a $6 million a year landscape business looks like. See what a business that's been around for 30 years at least with a partner looks like. And I went and I just tried to soak in and observe as much as I could, ask questions, and kind of just milk it as much as I could. Um, because I know this was just kind of like a once in not a once in a lifetime opportunity, but like I'm not gonna go visit him once a week. You know, he's also gonna be like, what the fuck? I gotta work. Anyway, I hey, just to give you some context, his business in regards to numbers and clients is 15 times larger than we are. Um, and it was cool to see what a very similar business in regards to services and structure looks like at my scale. And then if you uh, multiply times 15, what it looks like. And it's simple. It's similar. And that was cool to see. You don't have to be so complex. Keep it simple, stupid is not the best way to put it. Anyway, then the very next day, and it just happened. You know how it is when you got nothing going on for fucking weeks, then all of a sudden, bam, 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 five things all come to you at the same time, and they're all things you want to do. That's what happened this time. There was three events that I really, really, really wanted to go to, and it all fell in the same, like 1 or 2 days. And I just couldn't make all of them, but I was able to make two. So the first one being Jason Lavelle. Here, I'll just show you. This is Jason right here. The one right here. Super incredible, nice guy. I mean, just I've tried to reach out to a lot of people in the past, and they're all gatekeeping in regards to, and what I mean by that is they don't care to kind of talk to anybody if they're in the same industry. Maybe they see you as a threat. I'm like, bro, I'm just trying to learn. I just want to ask questions. I know you don't have it figured out, so let's just go back and forth. This guy's been in the game apparently since he was 16 years old. He started mowing lawns, and in high school he had a lawn route. He started the company in 96, 97 with a partner. I mean, they've just been on it, and he's just so humble and easy to talk to. I mean, this is the type of mindset I aspire to still have 30 years later. Fuck, what was I saying? Anyway, and then the next day we met with Bobby Jenkins. Oh, I see. The next day we met with Bobby Jenkins. I don't know if you can see this. Right here in the middle, this is Enrique, HVR Cloud Services, Cybersecurity, and this is me. And we had this was a small business founder story. So we got to hear Bobby's story. He's the owner of ABC Services, Home Services here in Central Texas, and he's a top dog in the game. I mean, just to give you some reference, I think he said either this year or last year, they grossed $107 million, which in home services is, you're basically a billionaire. Because it's not tech shit. It's not something you can easily scale up. The services world is so hard to scale. In my head, getting to $1 million in revenue is just like God status. So $100 million, I mean, God damn, excuse me. Anyway, so yeah, 100 over $100 million in revenue, 1,100 employees, huge company. And then there's three uh, territories, I guess you could say. Bobby has three brothers, and he owns kind of the central Austin area. One of his brothers is more the Houston area, and then another brother is in the Dallas area. So they've sort of divided it into three territories. They're basically the mafia, but they're very nice. And we got to hear his story, how his dad started the business, how his brothers have taken it over, what his plans are, and kind of what the future is. And I wanted to summarize sort of those two into three different things that I've kind of put together in my mind. Excuse me. Let me see. Anyway, first thing that I noticed was the energy. Jason is 52. Bobby Jenkins is 62. Arlen, Jason's partner, is, I have to assume, about the same age, 52, 53. So these aren't like, young guys per se that just have that energy. They're in their prime, like full of testosterone and just don't get tired. I mean, these guys have been in the service field for years now, for decades. They're over 50, one of them over 60. And the one thing that I noticed from all three of them was their energy. To me, they relate to someone who had, as if they had just started the business last year. And they're just like, all right, what's next? What can we do? What about this? What about that? I mean, they just have the ideas. They bring that positive energy. They're optimistic. They're just like at the forefront of that. And again, Jason, $6 million a year, has a beautiful home, beautiful property, beautiful everything is, from my perspective, is a badass car. I love his truck. Bobby Jenkins, I mean, I don't even know what he makes, but the company makes $100 million a year. I mean, they're set financially. They're Gucci, you know what I mean? And that doesn't matter. It's not even a thought process in their mind. Not once did like money come up. They're just about like, all right, how can we improve? How can we there's just the energy is there. And that's just shows me that like I'm over here thinking like, all right, once I get to this number, I can like calm down. But I don't know, it just doesn't stop. And one thing that Bobby kept saying was there's no finish line. It just keeps going. So he'll keep doing this until he's dead. And then, by then he already has a succession plan in place. So his son's going to take over, and now they have this second generation of business owners coming in. But, he's going to carry that torch till his very last day. And he's right. There is no finish line. So that was one thing that stood out to me, that these older gentlemen that have been in the service industry for decades, they're acting and moving like they started this business last year and they have to make payroll this week. Like, that's commendable. Second was people first. And I was speaking to Arlen, which is Jason's partner. He's more of the operations side. And when I was talking to him, he was just highly focused on his people, his team. And for him, that meant safety. And how can his team stay safe? Because they're all using heavy duty equipment, mowers, edgers, blowers, chainsaws, wood chippers, lifts. I mean, the sprayers, chemicals. One of his big things he kept touching on was safety and making sure his team is safe. And then by extension, the public is safe, his clients. He touched on, a lot of the guys that come work for him, they're single mom households, and maybe a lot of these kids don't have discipline or structure, and they didn't grow up with that. So he's sort of taken on that responsibility as a, I don't want to say father figure, but as someone to teach young men these skill sets. And that's highly commendable. I really love that. Jason, same thing. He talked a lot about how can he create the best working environment for his people, for his team. Does that mean investing in equipment to make the job easier? Does that mean investing in skills? Does that mean investing in pay? So they're just all about how can I put my people first and pull them up, raise them to the next level. With Bobby Jenkins from ABC, he was all about investing in his people with education. Same thing, like where are the gaps in knowledge and how can we train you up? I have to assume after 40 years of business, you have a good hiring process at ABC. And with 1,100 employees, I'm sure they've just built a culture where it just incentivizes positive behavior. One thing that they both touched on is philanthropy. Jason, he is from a small town. He's basically been there his whole life. So he just knows, it seems like he knows everybody that you have to know. He knows them. When you go through Stevensville, you got to check in with Jason. And he was all about, him and Arlen both talked about giving back to your community. And for Arlen, it was, they provide free services to their local church. I think they both go to separate churches, but still, like, they'll do stuff for free. It doesn't matter to them. They want to help. With ABC, here in Austin, there's a yearly kite festival, and I had no idea, but ABC basically funds that whole entire operation. They didn't start it, but they took it over a while ago, so it wouldn't die and just kind of stop happening. They do a lot of just local stuff, and they actually pay their employees if they want to go do community service for their own causes. So it doesn't have to be like what ABC wants you to do. You can go do and donate your time and get paid for the day for whatever cause or organization you want to support. So that's another big aspect or correlation that I saw. When I think it's because I'm like trying to figure it out and I'm broke and I don't have time, I don't have money, I don't know what I'm doing. I get so like sucked in and narrow focused where all that matters is just me and what I got to do in my day. And I mean, I got years of that and it's not taking me anywhere. Over this last 2 years, I've expanded my horizon in regards to being more open-minded to meeting people and being part of groups. And it's only brought me good things. So by talking to them, I'm just seeing like 30 years of that, what that can become. And I like that sense of community. I want to chase that as well for my own business and my own life. Anyway, last one is holistic service. Now, what does that mean? After talking to both Jason and Bobby and Arlen, primarily Jason, because he's the main owner of the company. He drives sort of like the direction of the landscaping company. I noticed that they both focused on services that are parallel to each other. Like, for example, they do lawn service, right? And then, well, what's like the next best thing? Probably fertilizing. So now they do lawn service and fertilizing. Same house, essentially the same group can apply both services. And then you do that for a couple of years, and then what happens? Well, clients keep asking about irrigation now. Or maybe we broke some heads and we have to learn how to fix these. So now you go lawn service, fertilizing, and now irrigation. again, same house, 3 services. You might have to bring in someone that's irrigation knowledgeable or train your existing team up. And if you have enough houses, that can be its own route eventually. So after you do lawn service, fertilizer, irrigation repair, well, what about those clients that have the means to do some? Excuse me, I gotta sneeze. So what happens with those clients that have the means to afford some flowers and they want a little planting project for their front yard? Well, now you got lawn service, fertilizer, irrigation, and maybe a project installation group. And again, all the same houses. It's the same house. And that same crew is familiar with the layout. And maybe you train one up, or maybe one of your guys is like, hey, you know what? I'm kind of getting tired of this lawn service stuff. I'm down to just only do chemical applications, or maybe I only want to do irrigation, or you know what? Put me on the project team and I just want to do projects now. And then now you have one house, 4 at least services that all like holistically come together to give you a beautiful landscape. And I've noticed that both CEOs, both business owners, thought this way. They're not going to do like lawn servicing. We're mowing the lawn, and then all of a sudden it's like the owner's going to be like, "Hey, do you do my toilet is broken? Can you fix that?" Although it's an opportunity, because the client is literally asking you, "Hey, can you do this and I'll pay you for it?" It's like a whole different skill set. It's like, what the fuck? Mowing lawn to go fix a toilet or go replace it or whatever, so some kind of plumbing thing. It's totally different. Or it's like lawn service and then, hey, go remodel my bathroom. I'm like, what? Some do that, don't get me wrong. But that's like way too far out. It seems to be easier to just stay within your kind of like sphere of whatever and stay within that circle and maybe expand on it a little bit over time. Not go from here and then way the fuck over there and then thinking like, well, no, but the money's there. Yeah, but the logistics of doing something like that, where you're having 2 completely separate weird services, is complex. The skill set is way too different. The equipment is way too different, and the workflow is in operations side of it is just way too different. You could make it work, but it's going to take. It's just, why do something that's harder when you can do something that's easier? You can get there. It's just in the beginning, you have to try to make things flow as best as you can. And by focusing on holistic services, it seems to just work out better. So again, you start with lawn service, maybe fertilizer, and then irrigation, and then planting. It's still all just under the umbrella term of landscaping. It's all holistic. All those come together to bring you a landscape. And you could even add tree trimming to there. That's something that actually Jason and ABC Lawn and Care have both added to their portfolio of services, is tree trimming. And it's something that's been on my mind for a long time too. So yeah, that's 3 things that I learned. Is that doesn't matter if they're 60 years old, they bring the energy and they're acting, not pretending. They're acting like they started this last year and they're trying to figure this out. Keep in mind, they made $100 million last year. You know what I mean? But it doesn't matter. It's not even in your mind. People first. They invest in their people. They want their clients are their responsibilities, and they take accountability for anything that kind of is caused by them, or like in regards to repairs, or they want to take care of people, either their team, the client, or their community. They're touching all 3. And then lastly is holistic services. They're staying within kind of the circle of the kind of the same industry and not just branching out to completely different ones. Don't get me wrong, ABC does do a bunch. They have 18 services from lawn service to pool cleaning. But talking to Bobby, what happened was they expanded one layer at a time. So eventually they got connected to pools. And when you're big enough, they acquired a company that did pool cleaning. So that owner was able to just basically get bought, and then that person runs that division. So it's sort of almost turnkey uh, revenue, a revenue source, turnkey revenue source. But anyway, going back to me and a small business, it's what else is very similar to us. So to give you some context. I know we're getting long video now. I started lawn service with my dad. He's always done kind of groundskeeping, lawn service type of work for his clients. So when I came on, we were just primarily 90% just let's just gonna mow lawn. We're just gonna mow lawns, mowing, edging, blowing, the end. Maybe once a month, maybe once a quarter. There was a client that maybe wanted a project. Hey, let's plant some stuff here. Let's put some gravel there. The end. Nothing too crazy. Over time, I started realizing or getting asked questions about fertilizing and weeds. And I don't know. I mean, I was working at the hospital 6 months ago. Now you're asking about fertilizer and how much to apply and what kind of weeds are these? How do you kill this weed or that weed? I'm like, shit, I don't know. But I felt stupid as hell because I'm supposed to be like the landscaper. I'm supposed to be the professional. I'm presenting myself as the professional, as a service provider for this specific industry. And then I don't know. That answer just killed me. And I hated not knowing the answer. I hated feeling stupid. So I dedicated myself to, actually, it wasn't weed control, it was irrigation first. I dedicated myself to learning irrigation. Went online, found out, hey, you can actually get licensed in irrigation. So I was like, perfect. Well, I come from a schooling background. I'll just go back to school for this. Not a big deal. And got my license in irrigation. And then I started saying, hey, I'm a licensed irrigator. We can do repairs. And slowly over time, I started just figuring it out by myself, doing simple repairs, troubleshooting. There was a few times where like I could never figure it out. If there was some kind of troubleshooting wire issue, I just never figured it out. And a lot of times I just didn't charge people because I didn't feel comfortable doing that, because why would I charge you when I don't know what I'm doing? And then also I didn't fix it. I might have spent 8 hours here, but I didn't get the job done. So, I'm not going to charge you. Anyway, I got to a point where I felt comfortable, and now we have a irrigation program, quarterly checks with the winter shut off. We're checking every single zone, walking it, documenting repairs. I do require or try to set an allowance per visit so we can repair them on the spot. And it's said and done. Now there are things that we'll see that come up that are new for us, but for the most part, I feel like I've seen on the residential side, I feel like I've seen everything. I take that back. I feel like I've seen enough to feel confident enough to start offering the service with confidence. Anyway, from there, we started getting asked questions about fertilizing and weed control and what weed is this, what weed is that, how do you kill these? Again, I didn't know. And I felt stupid as hell not knowing these things. So I learned. And even to this day, weed control and fertilizer is very difficult. I think it's probably one of the hardest things to do because it's very nuanced. You don't know if something works until months later, really. Like, for example, this year we have a program. I'm going to see how this program does this year, and then I'll tweak it next year. On top of that, wherever you buy your product, they sometimes switch product companies or whatever. So your whole setup is now changed and you got to try something different. There's always new things coming out with fertilizing and weed control. So anyway, that's how I got into it, because I didn't know and I wanted to know and I felt like I needed to know because I'm supposed to be the professional. That's how I'm presenting myself. And lastly is going to be more just like project based installations. So property cleanups, mulch, plants, gravel. And we try to keep it very basic, but just trying to learn plants in general and what trees do well and what grows where and how, and the different types of soils, and it's a whole thing. And then you bring into it the design aspect of things. It's like I have my plate full right now, and the next thing I want to do is when eventually, hopefully in the next 5 years or so, we actually have a tree cutting division where we have a wood chipper, we have a box truck, and we don't have to go rent these things, and we can do more tree trimming stuff, and just that'd be fantastic. But anyway, this is getting kind of long, and I just wanted to talk about that, a little bit about my background and how I got to holistic services. And it seems that Jason and Bobby did the same thing. People first and bring the energy. This is one thing that I really, really, really need to start doing more of. Actually, I've deleted Instagram and Facebook. No, Instagram and YouTube from my work phone, because I'm spending too many hours just doing absolutely nothing. And it's embarrassing because I'm over here, 35 years old, young, right? Full of energy, in my prime. Got like full of testosterone and whatnot. And I'm wasting it on nothing. And then here we have Jason, 52 years old, on the go. Go, go, go. What can we do? How can we improve? His partner, Arland, he's trimming trees. He's working with his hands. And I'm over here bitching and moaning that I'm tired, I'm lazy. No, I'm just not focused. I haven't found my North Star yet. And I think just honing down on what my vision is for the future is what I was missing. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. Bye.